Hi, third grade. Welcome to lesson 13. Before you watch this video, make sure that you have watched lessons 1 through 12 and you have completed all of the assignments that go along with them in Google Classroom. Today, we are going to be writing our conclusion. Before we get started, make sure that you are logged into Google Classroom, as you'll be completing your assignments on there, and make sure you have a paper and pencil if you want to write first. Here is our prompt. Remember, we read through this before every time we begin writing for the day. So go ahead and press pause on your screen and read through this. Great. We are going to continue writing our informational report today, and we're actually going to finish it with our conclusion. And it's question time. Let's read this question together. What are the structural parts of an informative essay? Press pause on this video and write your answer on your notebook or tell someone at home. If you said that the first thing that we do is have our table of contents, then our introduction, and then our body paragraphs, and then we finish with our conclusion, you are correct. I bolded conclusion because that is what we're going to be working on today. So, like I said, today's focus is on our conclusion. A conclusion is the last paragraph that wraps up our writing. It has the most important information in it and the things that you want to leave your reader with as they're done reading your report. So conclude means to finish. So a conclusion means a finishing paragraph, okay? Your conclusion should restate your thesis. That means say your thesis again, but in different words. Then you also need to include your 4 main ideas. And then you'll have a wrap-up sentence or like an action step to get your readers excited and feeling like, okay, I got it. Then you're gonna need, for your conclusion, you're gonna need your animal organizer, your animal table of contents, and your animal report. You can find all these materials in Google Classroom under Informative Writing. Now, remember, before every paragraph, we have created a heading. We already made these headings in our table of contents, but I'd like you to pause this video and read through and get a refresher on what headings are. Good. I'm going to show you my report. Here I have a heading for introduction, and then I've actually highlighted my thesis statement in yellow, and I've put a color specific for each main idea. You should have done the same. And each of my headings is the same color as the main idea in the thesis. So for today, we're going to be doing our conclusion. So I want to make sure I have a heading that is bolded and underlined, just like my other headings. I'm going to type in conclusion. And remember, you can find the same heading on your table of contents where it says conclusion. I want to make sure I say what page each of these are. I noticed I didn't do that yet because I was waiting to see how much space they would take up. So for my introduction, I'm going to underline it like this. You can select it, go to underline, and then ... and I'm going to write page 1 because that's on page 1 of my report. And my conclusion is on the last page. I want to double check to see what page it's on. So I'm going to go back to my report and I'm going to count. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, and my conclusion is on page 6. I want to make sure I note that here. So I underline it just like the others, and oops. Sometimes when it does that, that means you have to unclick the underline button because we don't want it to underline the dots. So I'm going to ... and then I'm going to go to write page 6 so that my reader knows where they can find my conclusion. Okay, now that I checked my table of contents, I'm going to go back and I'm going to make this bolded and underlined. I'm not going to make this a specific color because it's not a main idea. I kept my introduction here in black, and I'm also going to keep my conclusion in black. So it's nice and organized. Okay, let's go back to the slides. All right, if you're writing on paper first, before you write in Google Classroom, you can set up your paper just like this. You should probably already have something written if you like to write on paper. If you are typing, let's go to Google Classroom and I'll show you our assignment. So here is the writing assignment for today. This is where the slides are, and then if to find the things that you need, for example, your animal report, you'll click right here to find it. You'll need your animal table of contents. Click right here to get that. And your animal organizer, you'll click right here to retrieve that. Now, I have all of mine up already, so we're gonna start doing a practice with my animal, the giraffe, so that you kind of get an idea of what to do when you write your conclusion for your animal report. Okay, so I have my animal organizer, and I have my report, and I have my table of contents. So I actually put a checklist up here for you of the things you need to include in your conclusion. So restate my thesis, okay? That means I'm gonna reread my thesis statement, and I am going to write it in different words so it still sounds interesting to my reader. I don't want to copy it because that's kind of boring. They already read my thesis. They don't want to read the same thing again. So your first sentence will be to restate your thesis. Good. Okay, so that means I have to reread my thesis statement and come up with another way to say it. Okay? Giraffes are tall, spotted animals that live on the savanna in Africa. They eat leaves and they use their features to protect their families and help them survive in their environment. Okay. What did I include in my thesis statement? What are the 4 things I included? Yes, I included my 4 main ideas. I see that in my checklist, I need to include all my 4 main ideas too. So when I'm restating my thesis, I can also include those main ideas to hit both of those checks. I'm going to go to my conclusion. Now, before I restate my thesis, I'm going to want to think about like a sentence to start it off, like a topic sentence. You know, I need to get my ideas flowing, so right now I'm going to pause this and I'm going to read through my entire report. That's what you should do too, so that I know the most important things to include. So go ahead and pause this video and read through my report with me. Press play when you're ready. Okay, I kind of want to say something unique about giraffes. What's one thing that sticks out about them that is really different? What do you guys think? Yes, they're very tall. So maybe I want to include that in my topic sentence or my first sentence. I'm going to put a tab here so I can indent. I pressed tab. And I'm going to say giraffes certainly stand out from the crowd and not just because they are so tall. This sentence is a good way to start off my work because it talks about their appearance a little bit. It says that they are what? So tall. So that's one of my main ideas. So my topic sentence is working as hitting one of my main ideas. Now maybe I want to talk about their environment and their food a little bit. So I want to make sure I hit those other main ideas. Something about them living in their grasslands. Their bodies work with their grassland environment to help them survive, help them find food, avoid predators, oh, and maybe because they really care about their babies. I wrote about that a lot in the behaviors section of my report. So I want to say, and keep their babies safe. Oh, I feel like that really hit my main ideas while also not, I'm not saying like my main ideas are, right? Because that's not a great way of writing. Is that interesting to read? Not really. So please avoid writing stuff like this. My main ideas are, or my animal is great because, right? Because you don't need to say my animal is great. Just tell me why they're great, right? Or just tell me their main ideas. You don't need to say my main ideas are, okay? I'm gonna go back and reread this before I keep adding. While I'm doing this, I would like you to put a finger up every time you see that I've included a main idea. Okay, giraffes certainly stand out from the crowd, and not just because they are tall. Appearance. Their bodies work with their grassland environment to help them survive, help them find food, and avoid predators and keep their babies safe. I think I just restated my thesis and included my main ideas. Oh my gosh, okay, but I want to be organized. I want to continue to be organized. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I did in my thesis statement. I am going to highlight my my restatement of my thesis, and then I'm going to color code it the same way I did here. So first thing, I'm going to go all the way back down, and I'm going to select this text here, and I'm actually going to go to this button here, which says highlight color, and I'm going to click yellow to keep it nice and organized and consistent with my thesis statement. Then I am going to color code my main ideas. Do you see how when I restated my thesis, it's actually not one sentence. It was a couple of sentences. It was about two, okay? So appearance was purple, habitat was blue. So appearance, how they look. They are so tall. Just so that I know I included all of them, I'm going to go to my purple color. And then habitat was blue. I love how it's in order. Do you notice how I went in that same order? I went appearance, and then I went habitat. It keeps it nice and organized that way. I wonder if my next one is about diet like it is in the thesis. So we have diet in green and behavior in red. Let's see. I'm going to reread this. To help them survive and help them find food. Okay, that's green. I'm going to find my green. Go right over there. And avoid predators and keep their babies safe. That was their behavior, and that is in red. So it actually went in the same order as my thesis. My main ideas went in that same order. Now that's pretty important. I didn't say they have an appearance, and they have an environment, and a habitat, and they have a diet, and they have behavior. I didn't say it like that, right? I touched on each point by still making my writing flow, and it made it interesting, okay? Now I'm gonna have no highlight moving on. And the next thing I want to do in my conclusion is I want to wrap up my writing by saying something interesting, like my opinion, or giving my writer like an action step or something to do. So I know that, let's see, let me check my checklist. Yep, wrap up sentence. That's the last thing I need to do. Okay. I know that my animal, the giraffe, lives in a cool place that a lot of people would be really interested to go to. They live in Africa, and that's a really cool place. So maybe I can say something to my reader about like them going to Africa and seeing this animal in their natural habitat. You know, I think, I'm going to say giraffes. Oops, I want to make sure this is not highlighted. So go click highlight and click none. Giraffes are definitely worth a trip to Africa. Ooh, my reader might get excited to go there now. Maybe someday you will see them for yourself. Ooh, that left my reader excited to go to Africa and really curious to see this giraffe in their natural habitat. Now, before I'm done, what should I do? What do you think I should do? If you said reread your work, then you are correct. I need to reread my work to make sure it makes sense. Certainly giraffes stand out from the crowd, and not just because they are so tall. Their bodies work with their grassland environment to help them survive, help them find food, avoid predators, and keep their babies safe. Giraffes are definitely worth a trip to Africa. Maybe someday you will see them for yourself. Great. So I included all 4 of my main ideas, and I color-coded them so I was sure. I restated my thesis, which had all my 4 main ideas, and I had a wrap-up sentence at the very end that gave my reader a little bit of my opinion and gave them an action step, told them something they can do next. Remember, this is the last thing you're writing in your report, so you want to make sure you leave your reader with the most important, most interesting information about your animal. I'm excited to read your conclusions, and I hope you have a great time writing, and I hope you have a wonderful day, scholars. But before we leave, let's go to our final checklist. Okay, make sure that you watch this video, which you've done, great job. You write your conclusion on your animal report Google Doc on Google Classroom, and don't click submit because we're gonna add some text features and go back and do some revising and editing. Have a wonderful day, scholars.